Greetings and salutations. Welcome to episode 123 of Ref the District. It is 123 here, and the boys are back in town. It is a full house for you tonight on episode 123. We always bring the best going on. There's some talk of people wanting a change in jersey number. We're going to take that on in the cool down. OTAs are going on again, and we're going to talk about Eric Bieniemy and his effect that he's had and how OTAs are going and progressing. Lots of information that came out today, so we're excited to bring that to you. And then here in the warm-up, we've got some roster moves that happened. Namely, Dantzler Sr. is probably going to be the prime topic of discussion there in the warm-up. That is brought to you by Don't Sleep Energy. Head out to dontsleep.com. Get yourself 10% off your entire order. That's gear, that's drinks. The sugar-free is money. The only energy drink I drink is Don't Sleep. So make sure you go use the code RefTheDistrict out there. Get yourself 10% off. Before we get to roster moves, though, gentlemen, it's been a full 2 weeks and 3 weeks actually. Stoner, you've been gone for quite some time.
Yeah, man.
And so we've got plenty of people here in the chat just waiting for you. We got Yam, Tommy T, Big E, TJ, EP in the house as well. They're all waiting for some story time from Stoner.
Story time. Trev, you don't want to go first with your announcement?
I can make it. Mine's not going to be as fast, but yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, my days at Skybar are over. My last day was last Saturday. Big shout out to the people all involved for giving me that opportunity to open up a bar. It was a dream of mine. I did it, but now it's time to move on and pursue some other things. So, I'm going back to where I was, at Southern Inn, in a more of a leadership role. No more bartending that much early at all. So. Cool. Looking forward to it. But once again, thanks for everybody involved in Skybar. Thanks for all the supporters on here that were supporting Skybar, even though they're from far away. I did what I said I was going to do, and I'm very, very grateful for it. So that's
We're proud of you, Trev, and we'll work out a new thing for Super Chat down the road. So that's more to come on that. But congrats, Trev, on the move.
Thank you.
And excited for your future.
Yeah,
appreciate
excited
it,
for you, Trev. We always liked the stories coming out of Skybar and some of the social media stuff coming out of Skybar. So too bad you're leaving there. Too bad for them.
Yeah,
and then good for you that you're moving on to something else.
Appreciate it. So I'll be phoning in from a different restaurant and place sometimes doing any breaking news that's not on Sunday. So
yeah, heck yeah.
Yep.
All right, so you want the story?
It is Stoner story time now.
Dude,
Yam's asking what's up with that picture. This is story time. Imagine those books she had when you're a little kid. This is kind of artistic styling of Stoner. He did not know that I was doing that.
I didn't know this was coming. Graphic department has been working overtime. All right, so I guess great. I really do have some good stories for y'all, and
hopefully your microphone works throughout it all because it started crapping out there a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm having mic issues on my end.
You're fine now, but there was definitely something happened there for a moment where you.
Yeah, we can't have that during story time. That's for sure. But you guys let me know if there are any issues, and I can certainly change out mics real quick. But okay, so here's the deal. Of course, I've been gone for a couple of weeks, right? And first, let me just say it was an absolutely awesome vacation. It was my wife and I. It was our 26th anniversary, and we went out to crickets. Oh,
that's the wrong one. That's the one.
Great. That was nice. So it was our 26th anniversary. We went to Thailand. We went to Bangkok for 3 days, Phuket Island for 3 days, and if you haven't been there, those are a couple of awesome spots to go check out. And I flew heading over there. I flew Qatar Airways, and I don't know if you guys have ever had any experience with some Middle Eastern Airways, Qatar Airways, Etihad, Emirates Air. Let me tell you something. Go and Google the top 5 airlines in the world. Those 3 are in the top 5 on any list. They are fantastic airlines. They are. They're top. They just know how to treat you really well. And I splurged for class seats. Okay. So because look, it's a 14-hour flight from here to
Burgundy and gold.
Yeah, Burgundy. Yeah, he splurged on the business class. His microphone is suffering.
how about now?
It's sounds good.
Oh my Kobe. Oh my God.
We
Yeah.
got chaos going on. How about now? Is my mic
for our
better now?
audio listeners? We got Mike's not working. We've got Trev's camera got knocked out by his cat.
Is my mic working better now?
It's working better
What
now.
is
So
going on?
you're praising these airlines. I've had
Yeah.
the opposite reaction actually with those airlines. Some
So
of those
you have
airlines.
flown
Yes.
with
Oh,
those
yeah.
airlines.
I did a lot of travel around Europe and
Sure.
and Africa, and you use those airlines sometimes. And it's,
Yeah. Well, they're ranked. When you look at all the lists, they're all ranked usually in the top 5. Those 3 airlines are.
sure.
But like I said, I splurged for business class.
Also
And-
smart. 14 hours in what is it, economy? That's miserable.
I'm old now, right? I can't
Right.
sit like this in a skinny chair that leans back this much and you can't put your leg. I can't do that for 14 hours. I just
Right.
can't do that anymore. Maybe I could do that when I was younger. So it's 14 hours to Doha, and from Doha to Manila was 9 hours. Coming back, the exact opposite. 9 hours from Manila to Doha,
Yeah.
Doha to Washington Dulles. And the business class thing plays a role in this too. I'm not just kind of throwing that out there. It plays a role in these stories. So I'm leaving Manila. First thing, get in the airport. What happens? All of a sudden, I'm congested. It's like when I walk into the airport, all of a sudden it hits me. Bam! Congested, headache, runny nose, all this stuff. I'm
The
going,
travel
oh,
crud.
yeah, this is going to be brutal. Now, I've already been on a lot of flights. To get to Thailand, you got to fly, and Phuket is another flight, a whole bunch of flights. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But as soon as I get there, I start getting this headache and all these issues. Then we have a 3-hour delay because of storms in Manila. I don't know if y'all know, there was a typhoon that kind of passed through Guam and in the Asia region over there. So there was about a 3-hour delay. Now I got a 3-hour layover in Doha. So it's going to be cutting it close, right? So I get on my flight. It's a great flight, but I can't sleep because I'm congested and everything. But it's a 9-hour flight. But I make it to Doha. I get up and I'm talking to the flight attendants. I'm like, do you think I'm going to be able to make my connection to Washington? And they said, it's going to be close, but we think you'll be able to make it. We're going to have somebody there waiting for you to take you to your gate, right? That's a perk of the business class, right? They're going to have somebody there waiting for you. Sure enough, we land. We got about 20 minutes to get to the gate. Get off. One of the first ones off. Again, the business class perk, right? I'm first people off. Get there. There's somebody there waiting for me.
Nice.
And the lady, she's there, and she's got a list of 4 names. And all 4 of us are business class. We get there, and she says, okay, you're not going to make your connection. And we're like, the plane, it's right there. Yeah, the gate is right there. Help us out here. Let's get to that flight. Sorry, you're not. Your baggage is not going to make it, so we can't put you on if we know your baggage is not going to get out.
All right.
We argued with a little bit. It didn't work. Don't worry, we're going to rebook you. Okay, fine. And of course, there's a lot of people who are not making connecting flights because
it's 3 hours late,
right? But all those people are standing in this long line to go up and talk to the customer service type people. But we've got like our own personal person for the 4 of us. So we think we're kind of lucky, right? So they go off and they do their things. We're going to rebook you. It's, mind you, over there, it's like 1:30 in the morning. All right. So it's the middle of the night. So the lady comes back and she says, okay, here we go. This is what we got for you. We have 1 seat on a flight directly from here to Washington, a business class seat, 1 seat. And it leaves in about 7 hours.
Oof.
Right? That's brutal, right?
That's rough.
We've got 3 seats in a flight. It's not direct to Washington. You got to do a stopover in Munich, Germany. And then you got like a 2-hour layover and then from Munich to Washington.
Okay.
All right. So how do we figure this out? Who's going to get the direct flight?
Because there's 4 of you.
There's 4 of us.
Is the other one business class too, or?
Yeah, they're all business class.
Okay. Yeah.
And they leave at about the same time, but one has a stopover. So it's like a 3-hour difference. Is it that big of a deal? Maybe it's not that bad, but still, you'd rather have the direct flight. Who doesn't want a direct flight? So we got to figure this out. Well, 2 of the 4 of us are a couple.
Yeah, okay. They're automatically. Yep.
We're out. They're going on the one that's got the
It's that or they're not a couple anymore.
That's right. So it comes down to 2 of us, myself and this other lady. So let me ask you, and let me ask the people who are viewing and listening, how do you decide who's going to get the direct flight if you both want it?
Rock, paper, scissors. Best out of 3.
Flip a coin. This is a purchase.
What was her job? Do you know what her job was?
The other person?
Yeah.
No, I don't know anything about this other person.
Yeah, I mean, if all things are equal, this is a purchase you guys made. You guys can just flip a coin or whatnot. Yeah, Yam with a rock, paper, scissors.
That's the only way.
I mean, there's got to be some way you can do this. I understand if you're going to go this other route, which is, she's a woman, a lady, so you give the seat to her.
Yeah.
You guys
route.
What's that?
You go the chivalrous route.
I don't. I'm flipping a coin.
Right. So I suggest, first thing out of my mouth when we're trying to figure it out, rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah,
right? You guys nailed it, right? Everybody nailed it. Rock, paper, scissors. The other lady didn't seem too keen on that. She wasn't like real keen on it. So we start discussing other things, this and that, back and forth. And finally, she comes back and she says, okay, let's do rock, paper, scissors.
Got it, baby.
Right? Okay, now, next question for you all is, you got rock, paper, scissors. I'm going against this other lady. I'll give you as much context as I can. She's probably about 60 years old. She's a very petite woman. And that's about all I know about her, right? I just met her in this little group of 4 of us, right? What do you throw for your rock, paper, scissors? What are you all? It's not 2 out of 3 like Trev suggested. It's one time.
One time.
What are you throwing?
One time go.
What are you throwing and why?
60-year-old small lady.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I'll ask the viewers too. What would you all throw?
Paper.
I was probably going scissors.
And tell me why.
Gus Bus is with me. Anything? Yam saying rock because I want to crush her. Yeah. Maybe the big fists might be like, you know what?
I'm going paper because, I want to be polite. And if she has rock, then no paper comes to rock. So.
Paper seems reasonably smart because if she was kind of uneasy, rock, paper, scissors, she might kind of go with rock because it's the first thing you say. And it's also an easier thing to do. So you go paper maybe to cover, but I was going to go scissors.
Oh no!
That was my.
What
option.
You said, Nathan? What you said made a lot of sense, right? That was my thinking. So here we go, right? Big moment of truth right here. Rock, paper, scissors. Shoot! I shoot paper. She hits scissors. Fight! I lose. I'm out. I get the bad one.
Yeah.
You get to
join the couple.
So I joined the couple. And by the way, the couple I do want to shout out. They are probably watching. John and Trina, they were great. We went on this journey together the rest of the way, and met them. He's an Air Force guy that's just like Nathan. He's getting ready to retire. He's like on this retirement trip, and his girlfriend Trina had just recovered from cancer, so they were on this big trip to celebrate all of that.
You were meant to go with them.
Yeah, right. So, okay, so this other lady, she gets. I was thinking she was going to do the power thing. Like, I'm this meek little lady. I'm going to do the power rock. And so that's why I went with paper. And I lost. And let me tell you, that loss will haunt me for the rest of my life because of the rest of the story I'm about to tell you.
Yeah, Nate, we're going to get to football. It's just Stoner story
Somebody
time
doesn't like
right
my story time, Nate? Yeah, we'll get there. And I'm almost done. Trust me. So 7 hours in the airport in Doha there until my flight, right? Then we get on the flight to Munich, which is a 9-hour flight, 8-hour flight, whatever it is. Get to Munich, about a 2-hour layover. Off we go from Munich to Washington. Again, I'm congested. I'm sick. I'm not sleeping well. I'm trying to sleep on this flight. About 2 hours in, they come over the announcement and they say, is there anyone on board? Are there any medical personnel on board? Let yourself be known. And I'm like, oh, now I'm in business class, and there's all kinds of commotion going up in first class.
Yeah.
Right. And then a little while later, the captain gets on and he says, we have a medical emergency on board. We have to land, and we have to land now. And we're over Ireland at this point. So they said, we're going to go land in Dublin, and we're going right now. So buckle up. We go and we land in Dublin. And as soon as we get to the gate, all these medical people storm in, and they all go up to the front and everything. And we don't know what's going on. And after about 2 hours on the ground of all these people going back and forth, captain comes on and says, unfortunately, the gentleman passed away.
Holy shnikes.
Yeah. And his daughter, by the way, was in there with him. And the couple that I was with before that flight had sat there talking to this man.
Oh, no.
As they were getting ready to, board the airplane. They had conversations with him, and that's how we knew that his daughter was up there, because they had this conversation with him.
Wow.
So now what do we do, right? So then the captain says, and unfortunately, because of this time that we've spent here or whatever, we don't have enough hours left. We've timed out. We can't go all the way to Washington. We have to go back to Munich. Because it's only like 2 hours back to Munich. It's 7 hours still to Washington. So we got to fly back to Munich. And you know what they said? When they said, don't worry, we're going to have somebody there. We're going to get you rebooked. We're going to get you a hotel room and all this other stuff. We get off that plane, and that Munich airport was empty. There wasn't a soul in that airport until one guy comes around the corner, some airport worker, and he's got carts of blankets and pillows, candy bars, and water, and says the Lufthansa, because we're flying Lufthansa now because I got rebooked, the Lufthansa folks won't be in for about another 5 hours. So figure it out. And that was all the information we had.
That's rough.
So I got on the phone, and a bunch of us got on our phones and got into the live chat with Lufthansa and got our stuff rebooked. Luckily, I was able to do that. But the best I can do is another 2 flights.
Oh, my gosh.
Munich to Charlotte, Charlotte to Washington. By the way, in 12 hours.
Woo!
So now I'm right back in this airport, sleeping, trying to sleep, whatever, until my flight. I tried to keep it into perspective that this family and this man, they lost their life. And so I shouldn't be complaining about my predicament. But my predicament sucked.
Yeah, that's a story.
And I got home.
It is. I should have picked rock.
I finally did get home. It was a 68 hours that it took me to get home.
I knew it was rough because the game 6 was going on between Boston and Miami, and Stoner is a big basketball guy, and he goes nuts during these things. And of course, game 6 was absolutely
nuts,
just nuts.
Yeah,
phenomenal and just crazy ending. And Stoner's not messaging us. He's not tweeting. Nothing's happening. I'm like, I really hope that you're just so dog tired that you slept through all this, because you're missing a game 6 here.
And that's the thing, Nathan. I couldn't sleep because I was sick. I was congested. My head is pounding. I'm stuffed. I'm still a little bit stuffed.
I was going to say, when I got on today, you sounded like you were
a few days later. And let me tell you, after all that, I will never, ever, ever play rock, paper, scissors again. I will never. I will never do it.
I don't know why you would. Just flip a coin. Just flip a coin.
I guess you could have flipped a coin. I didn't even think of that. But rock, paper, scissors.
50-50 chance there. It's just pure chance. Would have gone there. We have quite a few people there. Michael's upset with you for not bringing him a Munich girl or a Dublin girl. Michael says they owe you one. I think you owe Michael one. for letting him down. How about Yam? You're all the way out there, and I know you're celebrating, marriage and all that happiness, but I mean, you could have saw Yam. You're close enough for that. As Doug says, that is the rest of the story.
And that lady,
Steve Harvey's,
who got that other flight, who got that direct flight, she has no idea what we all went through.
Not a clue.
Nada.
And now we're trying to get compensation from the airlines, and they're like, sorry, this happens, but it's not the airline's fault that somebody passed away. And
sure.
Just crazy.
Epic story from Stoner. I mean, I did not expect it to be the first 20 minutes of our show tonight.
Did I go 20 minutes?
That you did. Minutes? We need to work on your storytelling skills, my friend.
Were you not like Trev, you were into it, right? You were into that.
I think because I knew most of the beats as the thing there. But we are a DC Sportscast, and we are going to get on to our Commanders talk here, as we do every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at 7:30 Eastern, and we bring you all the goods. So let's get back into the football mindset here with some of these roster moves. Yeah, Paul Harvey, Doug. I've said Steve Harvey, which is a different person.
Did you say Steve Harvey?
I did, which is a different person than Paul Harvey's. That's the rest of the story. All right, gentlemen, some roster moves were made this week. Some of them not surprising, and that's placing Andrew Norwell on the reserve and PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. Everything's pointing to them cutting him as soon as he's healthy. He's not healthy, so they want to open up a roster spot. So this is what you do to open him up until he becomes healthy. They signed a safety in Terrell Burgess and a tight end, Brandon Dillon. Of course, our guy, Armani Rogers, went down. Yeah. Big fans of him, Armani Rogers, here on Ref the District. He's injured. He's gone. So Brandon Dillon, who's not going to make the final roster, comes in. And
that's probably the last time we'll ever see Armani Rogers. You have 2 straight years
for sure,
being on injured reserve and missing most of the year. They usually don't give you a third crack at it.
As a developmental guy, as right, like this isn't a tight end who's just kind of had some bad injury luck. This is a QB that is moved to tight end to try to prolong his time in the NFL, and that's the back injuries is rough. So,
and especially it was non-contact, right? He was just running. Or something to that effect.
Yeah, it was non-contact.
His Achilles.
Yeah,
man, that sucks for him. I think he has a lot of potential, but I don't think it's going to be here anymore. He's going to have to try and sign on with somebody else.
Trev, go ahead and unplug your mic and plug it back in again. As he takes care of that here, then we have the actual surprise kind of cut here. They released cornerback Cam Dantzler Sr. This is a guy that they picked up off of waivers from Minnesota Vikings in March. Former, 3rd round pick. Maybe somebody who you can see kind of fighting for, even after the draft, where you're probably looking at, he's fighting with Danny Johnson and Wild Goose, that he would have an opportunity to kind of slide into one of those spots. But here he is, released during just the OTAs. What are your guys' thoughts on this kind of move here for the team?
It's a bit of a surprise. I'm with you. I thought he would come in at least compete and give a chance to compete in training camp. I mean, Cam Dantzler Sr., his name is probably sexier than his play on the field, but
it is a good name.
We saw him a little bit last year when we played Minnesota, or year before that, and he didn't do anything on defense, but it would be a nice depth piece for us. But I guess our draft picks and undrafted free agents and roster holdovers are outshining him already in OTAs, which says a lot if you're getting outshined in OTAs, no pads, no contact, 7-on-7s, getting acclimated with the offense and defense. It just says a lot. So maybe he was injured, or maybe he's just outplayed.
I don't think they would release him if he's injured. Guzman Chris here saying Dantzler was a bad release.
I
just don't understand. I mean, again, this is a former 3rd round pick. I think that he showed enough promise in Minnesota, but I mean, he's a guy you picked up. So, I mean, he didn't show too much. I mean, he's been cut from Minnesota after just a couple of years. You pick him up, but I mean, lasting only workouts and one OTA session is, I mean, I don't know if we'll see Dantzler Jr. or Dantzler Sr. rather get picked up on another roster, kind of like we're talking about Armani Rogers.
Practice squad. Maybe he comes back with us down the road. Maybe it was just I don't know.
Now, if you're getting cut this early, you're going to have to go to a different team. There's just
that sucks.
Yeah, I suppose that he obviously didn't show enough in just a few days, and like you said, if you get cut this early in OTAs, then there's something big there. Like it's either attitude, or you're not in shape, or you don't take well to coaching, or whatever.
It's a scheme either. Maybe it just doesn't fit.
Yeah, it's something big enough to where they're just like, you know what, we're not even going to give you a chance to develop here. Right. So I think that's a big deal. It is just a name. If his name was Stephen Grimm, then everybody would be like, yeah, Stephen Grimm, whatever. He's a nobody. But because he was a 3rd rounder and you know that name, then you kind of think, well, why are they letting him go? Obviously, he's not good enough. He's not good enough to be on this roster, or probably maybe any roster.
He'll get picked up.
There is a lot of depth here in Washington right now when it comes to the cornerbacks, right?
Yeah,
Kendall Fuller and BSJ are starting corners from last year that you still have. You drafted corners in the first 2 rounds this year. So you got to figure the first 4 slots, the first 4 spots on the roster for CB are taken up.
Yeah. And
then you've got guys who are coming back like Danny Johnson. Okay, let's not get too crazy. Danny Johnson, you got Wild Goose. You got the oh man, I'm gonna space on his name again.
Wild Goose.
No, 3-name guy.
Yeah.
Castro Fields, Tariq
Castro Fields. There we go.
He's a Penn State guy, yeah.
Yeah, Castro Fields, who I think is a guy that they really like, but was injured last year when they picked him up, and then he got injured off of San Francisco's rosters where they picked him away from, and then he got injured. But that's a guy that they like. And so, I mean, now we're 6-7 guys into it. And so now you got Dantzler. And if you're not showing out, if you're not beating Danny Johnson, like clearly beating Danny Johnson, you're just not going to make the roster. Like they were going to go with the guy that they have on the roster that they just signed. Danny Johnson just got his 1-year deal. So that's who it is. Gus Bus saying Holmes as well.
Yeah, Christian Holmes. He's getting some notice from the coaches. He was a 6th rounder or 7th rounder last year.
7th round pick
from the state.
I mean, there's a lot of guys there, but again, you're bringing in a 3rd rounder. You kind of expect at least a little something out of him, and then just say after a week of OTAs, say we don't even want you around. We don't even want to try and develop you. We just don't think you have. And it, like I said, it might be something that's not necessarily on the field. It may be a coaching. He's not coachable. It may be an attitude issue. Who knows? Maybe he's not picking up the playbook, whatever. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So it could be
because they paid money for him. Like there's a not insignificant number of dollars that are against the cap for him. Now, some of it could be mitigated, and this could be another reason to let him go at this point.
Yeah.
Is if he does get picked up by another team, some of that can be mitigated. But right now, I mean, that's a cap hit when they're already kind of up against the cap. They'll have some money next year, but this year we're kind of butting up there, and we'll see how things go. But it's interesting to me, Stoner. You kind of tapped it a couple of times there and saying maybe he's not coachable. Now, there's a guy this is Jack Del Rio on that side, but there is a guy who's making quite the impact on the other side, and that's Eric Bieniemy, and we're going to be talking about him here in the game.
Say goodbye to the generic face wash on your counter because Caldera Lab is here to save the day when it comes to your skin. Backed by a leading clinical trial where 9 out of 10 men experienced healthier and visibly improved skin, Caldera Lab has the tools to unlock your best first impression and confidence. See for yourself why so many men trust Caldera Lab for their skincare needs.
Absolutely. We appreciate Caldera Lab reaching out to us, sponsoring the show, now sponsoring the game here on Ref the District. We do appreciate them because, guys, we're not spring chickens anymore. All of us are north of 35.
Speak for yourself.
You're north of 35, Trev, and I know black don't crack.
Yeah.
So you got a little bit more to go than Stoner and I. Stoner's, he's in the 50s, and as you can see from my beard here, I am not getting younger either. And so Caldera Lab is going to help us keep our skin fresh and clean. And you can get yourself the Regimen Bundle. It's a twice-a-day routine. Transform your skin. Gets you the clean state. You start your day, the base layer, moisturizer for the skin. And it just gets you good to go, or the good is for your go-to nighttime thing. So do yourself a favor, especially if you're as old as I am or as old as Stoner, or if you just want to make some fresh skin, go ahead and get yourself 20% off with our code RefTheDistrict at calderalab.com. That's 20% off at calderalab.com by using the code RefTheDistrict. Unlock your youthful glow and be ready for summer with Caldera Lab. We do appreciate the sponsorships that we get. Helps the channel go. So we'll keep this rolling here with the EB effect. Another man who is showing some youthful exuberance on the field and really make an impact. Now, I don't know if Dantzler is leaving because of EB, but I do know EB is having quite the impact on the field for OTAs. Stoner, catching up on everything from your just hellacious travel experience. What is your first take here on Eric Bieniemy and what he's been able to do just with one OTA session so far? Second one going underway right now.
It's been a huge difference, that everything that I'm hearing coming out of camp from the beat reporters, from players, everybody's talking about what that effect is on individual players. He's a very, very detailed offensive coordinator. He is a very he's hard on these players. He will get on their butts. He will hold them accountable. If they don't do the right play, they don't run the right play, he will do it over and over and over again. And so I think you're going to see that rub off on these players, especially these younger players, the Robinsons, the Rodriguez kids, the Cole Turners, and of course, most important than anyone is on Sam Howell. So I'm excited from everything I'm hearing. I don't know how it's going to translate to points and wins, but right now it feels like it's having a very positive effect on the offense.
Yeah, it definitely seems to have kind of, something kind of buzz around it, but you're right. We won't really see the product of all this until later. And Stoner, I'm going to, strangely enough, I'm going to use this reference, but I'm going to move away from you into Trev here. But is this kind of Steve Spurrier 4-0 in the preseason type of thing here, Trev, that we're kind of experiencing? Are we being Ashburned again? We're just so in love with EB and we love this energy. And we, as Yam saying, Yam says not taking anything away from EB, but improving over Scott Turner was probably the easiest thing to do in the entire NFL. No lies detected. No lies detected. Are we being Ashburn, Trev? Is this Steve Spurrier 4-0 in the preseason type situation that we're experiencing?
No, I don't think so necessarily. I think it's just that we have a competent offensive coordinator in Eric Bieniemy, and he comes from an organization where all they do is win over there, no matter who's on the field. So I think it's really good to see that be implemented in our neck of the woods with our players and our coaching staff. Attention to detail, holding players accountable. I said this last week. Sam Howell threw a pick and kind of just was like this. And EB said, "You threw it, go get it. Like, go chase after him."
Mm-hmm.
He said today, I think, like receivers, when you're doing jet sweep, lose yards. Like he's holding everybody accountable, very attention to detail. I think we will see that translate onto the field this season. We'll probably look like an actual football team compared to what we're normally looking at when we're watching on Sundays. But I don't know for Ashburn. I think we're just excited to know that we have an actual competent coach on our staff that's going to do the right thing.
A Super Bowl winning coach, a guy who has
position to win.
Coached Adrian Peterson, who won an MVP.
Yeah,
His coach Patrick Mahomes, who won an MVP. Like, this guy has the pedigree, and I do think that we have to see some results. One of the things I'll say, whether or not we're being asked or not, the players are buying into it as well.
Yeah, and that's important.
Huge. That's a huge thing. Now, if it doesn't turn into points, you might lose the players. But right now, the fact that the players are buying into it, and I think a lot of that comes from the fact that anytime somebody wants to question him, he just brings up the fingers and that jewelry. He's like,
check the tape.
You're gonna question me and how I do things. Just trust me and trust the process. And I think most of the players are buying into it. And I'm excited for what we're going to see. Now,
and apparently the tempo was a lot faster this season. John Allen's his interview said, I don't know if this EB effect or not, but the difference last year was like offense versus defense, no matter what. This year it's like we're working together as a team rather than be more of a competition against units. Last year it's more of a well-rounded team. Guys are more mature and stuff. So maybe EB could have that effect for real.
I think
that maturity and level of class and professionalism to our young players. So.
Yeah. And I think what we have to be careful of is those expectations. There is a difference between being excited about what he brings to the table and being Ashburned. Right. To be where nothing can go wrong. We're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't
we're going to go from 17 points a game to 27 points a game with basically the same offense, except a different quarterback and an offensive coordinator. So we just have to keep our level of expectations not so high. Is he going to do a lot of good things that's going to help this offense and be better than Scott Turner? Absolutely. But let's not get carried away that we're going to go from the worst offense in the league to the best offense in the league.
But we'll look like a competent football team.
Yeah.
Offensively.
This is third season in a row. We're going to just tell people you don't need to be top 10 offense. If you can just be top 20 offense with this defense, you should be able to win some games. And they've proven that year after year.
Absolutely.
Where they've had a good defense and they were coming out mid in the schedule, not Trev's lustrous all dubs season review. But yep, I agree. 17-0 until otherwise. And now if we actually, again, like I said, just get off the floor and you guys should be improved. So let me ask you this then, Stoner. Any player not named Sam Howell, because that's the biggest unknown. There's a lot of faith being put into Sam Howell right now. Who is the player on the Washington Commanders that is going to get the biggest boost or biggest impact from EB?
It's very easy to say because of what he did in that offense in Kansas City that the tight end position was so featured. I mean, you got a Hall of Famer. You have maybe the best tight end in the history of football over in Kansas City right now with Kelsey. And so that kind of translates to EB saw what a great athlete can do at the tight end position and how it can transform an entire offense. And he probably wants to bring that here if he has somebody who can do that. I'm not saying that Cole Turner is Travis Kelce in any way whatsoever. He is, however, a talented tight end physically. Can that translate? Can EB see that and take that offense and that weapon that he has in Cole Turner, and can he make him that type of tight end? Not Travis Kelce, but a threat that opens up everything else. If Cole Turner is a threat in the middle of the field, that changes everything within an offense if he and Sam Howell are clicking. So I think Cole Turner is the answer to that. The tight end position in general, but Cole Turner specifically.
Yeah, I think they were really hoping Armani Rogers would have stayed healthy, because I think that's a guy that you can hear it from Rivera and even the rest of the team, that was a guy that I think they were counting on being a dynamic player for this offense. So Cole Turner is going to have to step up. Trev, we got a couple names in there. TJ saying B-Rob, Big E saying Samuel, Gus Bus saying Curtis Samuel as well. Uptown Dre saying Gibson. Who are you going with, Trev? Is the one who's going?
Before I saw Big E and Gus, I was going to say Curtis Samuel. I think this is the year that he could actually be unleashed the way that we asked him to be since we got him. Of course, he had that injury the first year we had him. And then last year we kind of, incorporated him a little bit more. We thought it'd be more comfortable because he came from Scott Turner's system in Carolina to here. We thought it'd be similar, but it just didn't really work out. I think what EB did with Sky Moore in Kansas City, that rookie receiver last year, a lot of sweeps, a lot of, disguised handoffs and stuff. I think that'll be Curtis Samuel's role this year, more unleashed and more used all over various positions on the field.
Well, Big E also has a question for you, Trev.
What up?
Big E says, can't tell me our offense will remotely be close to what was last year. If we average 23 points per game, we win 10 to 11 games. No question. Trev, what are your thoughts?
10 to 11 games, no question, scoring 23 points. Maybe not 10 or 11, maybe 7, 8, but a lot of teams are scoring a lot of points this year, and we scored 20 last year and tied with the Giants. That's only 3 less than what you're saying right now. So I think if we score between like 25, 26, 27,
what was the league average last year? I feel like 24 is pretty close
24?
to the average.
Yeah, 23, 24 is league average. 27, you're getting into the elite territory. So in Washington was 17.9, I believe.
But our opponents, though, like we play the Bills, the Jets, the Eagles twice, the Rams, the Seahawks. Like these teams put up points in their respective divisions and conferences. So if we want to win,
if the defense takes a step back, you're right. That could be potential if your offense even is at that point average, 16 out of 32. If your defense takes a step back, you're going to lose a few more of those games. So your defense still needs to be great, and your offense needs to take that step up. I think that's going to be interesting to watch. My pick for a player is going to be Gibson. I like Curtis Samuel as an answer. I think Cole Turner is going to be overblown. I think we're going to see perhaps Logan Thomas's second best year, which, by the way, is maybe like 400, 500 yards. He hasn't had a lot of great years.
He's had one great year.
He's one good year. One good year.
Right.
So I think we're going to see a good year from Logan Thomas. Cole Turner might still take some time to develop. This is a 5th-round rookie in tight ends. We talked to Logan Paulson, and he doesn't believe in 3 years, but it does take some time, especially when you're a later drafted player like Cole Turner was. So Gibson is a guy who I thought was going to get unleashed last year, and he was still productive. He was still the most productive, although he had 4 games on Brian Robinson. So there's that part. But I still think this is a guy who might be used as the J.D. McKinnon role that Kansas City has. So a little bit more in the passing game, a little bit rushing, get him into open space, kind of like what you expect from Curtis Samuel. I think that this is one of those things. I think both of those players kind of work in similar space. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're split up, because Curtis Samuel can carry the rock. You don't want to see it too often. You want it to be a little bit more of a surprise, so that way he's not being, if he's back there, he's not being stuffed. But I just am excited for all of the skill positions, because I think they're going to get the ball in space, and I think they're going to get the ball on target, because Sam Howell is accurate. But yeah, Antonio Gibson is a guy who I'm looking to see if we can't get some of those explosive plays that we've been wanting him to get. So hopefully that'll be the case.
I tend to think that I know a lot of people, and Trev talked about it, the Curtis Samuel deal. I'm on the other end with Curtis Samuel, not him as a player. I love him as a player. I don't think he has a fit in this particular offense.
Oh, no. Because
you have 2 outstanding outside threats with Dotson and McLaurin. Okay. You have 2 very talented running backs in B-Rob and Gibby.
Yeah.
You have a tight end, a couple of tight ends.
Okay.
You only have one football.
Bro, you didn't say anything about a slot wide receiver. We need him. And that's Curtis Samuel.
I actually don't think you
I'm throwing Curtis Samuel the ball before Logan Thomas,
Bro,
Cole
he
Turner,
changed
or
his
John
number to the
Bates.
college number. He's out here. Like, he's number 4 now. You know what that means. He's comfortable in the offense.
We'll get to numbers here later. I'm not a big believer in that whole numbers thing, but I just think somebody has to be the odd man out here, because you can't. They're not going to have 500 yards of offense every game. Sam Howell's not going to complete 40 passes a game. But McLaurin is going to get his. But EB is going to get McLaurin the ball. I promise you.
You need all the weapons you can have to help Sam Howell be successful this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Part of that.
And assuming everybody stays healthy, and I know that's not going to be the case, but assuming everybody stays perfectly healthy, I think the odd man out in all of this is Curtis Samuel.
I have to disagree and say De'Ami Brown is the odd man out.
Well, he's the odd man out no matter what.
He's a fourth.
I'm just saying with the starters, assuming, De'Ami Brown had 5 catches last year.
Yeah.
He can't be further out than he already is.
I'm just saying, but it's Sam Howell's boy from college, so there's that.
That he's not.
Curtis Samuel's in a contract year, though, right?
Yeah, bro, he's balling out this year.
Washington seems to believe in the contract years. Montez Sweat, Chase Young, both in contract years, both not at OTAs. Stoner,
all right, it's voluntary.
Stop that, Trev. That gets me ticked off.
Hey, I didn't make the camp rules, bro. That's the NFL.
So why is everybody else there if it's voluntary?
Because everybody else is there.
Good answer. Because that's what teams do. That's what teammates do. That's what football players do. They're there for the man next to them.
So
their brother next to them.
What happens if they both come back to mandatory minicamp and they both produce double-digit sacks this year? Are you really going to go back and pick out how they missed voluntary OTAs?
Nope.
Okay, then.
Trev, they haven't done that yet.
I know they haven't, but they have the same agent too. So there's that.
Trev, they haven't earned the right to skip.
Don't make it voluntary, bro.
That's the problem of the NFL. That's not Washington's rule.
I know it's not, but that's the problem. If you want everybody to be there, don't say voluntary.
Trev,
don't.
Why is everybody else there and they're not? That's
some
what
people.
I'm saying.
I know some people are there and not participating.
The others are dedicated.
To
this game.
That's
to
right.
Getting better.
But a lot of other players aren't number 2 overall picks with Rich Paul as their agent.
Exactly.
So I'm just saying, I'm not saying the right thing, but I'm saying they don't have that with them too. So it's voluntary. Just take the word voluntary out and make it mandatory. We'll get rid of this problem, because this is happening. This is happening on other teams too, and they're not freaking out. So why should we freak out if this happens to us?
Who's not there at these other camps?
I saw it on Twitter. I don't know. Some great players aren't showing up either. Cam Curl just decided to do unit drills this week. Last year was there and just sat on the sideline. I know. I know, but this is Chase Young's MO. Why are we surprised?
And this is kind of you point to the contract, or not to the contract. You point to his agent. Is the 5th-year option denial?
Mm-hmm.
Is that off-putting to Chase in that way? Obviously the 5th-year option being declined is partly because this is a guy who hasn't showed out in OTAs, or realistically his 2nd year, and his 3rd year was kind of a wash. But so the 5th-year option aside, I just feel like this is a guy who has something to prove this year if he wants to stay with this team, and not showing up to OTAs tells me he doesn't care whether or not he's a Washington Commander after this season.
Well, he cared last year when he missed OTAs.
He was there last year.
He was there. He was injured. It was 2 years his sophomore season that he didn't show up because he was getting his bag. My point is, even if he has a great year, he will be happy to sign with Washington if Washington pays him the most money.
Yes.
But he's not playing for Washington. He's playing for Chase Young. And I think that's a little bit of a difference there. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna throw that out there. There's nothing wrong with playing for yourself. Okay.
It's voluntary.
A lot of great players. There's great players on both walks. Those who are team players and those players who played for themselves. Chase Young's one of the ones who plays for himself. He still has to prove that he can be a great player. Great great defensive rookie of the year season. Hasn't really shown that since. That's now 3 years removed from that. So we need to see something from it. And he's not getting this experience where you said, Trev, that this is OTAs that are different. This isn't offense versus defense. This is one team. He's not there to experience that. He's not there to see EB. This is a guy who people, I don't know why people use this as a negative thing for Chase Young, but they're like, he's a cheerleader. Yeah, I want my guy to be on the sidelines and tuned to the game and cheering people on. I want them to be like that. And here's EB, who is that energy for the offense right now. And Chase Young isn't there to experience it. Now, it's voluntary, fine. But if you want to get a paycheck with this team, I just feel like you should be here for those OTAs.
And Trev, there's a lot of different scenarios that you can kind of relate to what he's going through. But the best way I can kind of look at it is compare it to Terry McLaurin. Okay, Terry McLaurin got his bag this offseason. He got into Pro Bowl level production. He's into the top 100 of all the NFL lists. And Terry McLaurin was at the press conference when EB was announced. He didn't have to be there.
He's an offensive player, though.
Okay. He's at the voluntary OTAs. Mm-hmm. If anybody on this team has any reason to not be at voluntary OTAs, it's Terry McLaurin. And I will also add in Jonathan Allen. Well, they are captains. They lead by example. I got my money, but I'm still going to be there no matter what, because I'm fighting for the guy next to me. I'm fighting with my brothers, and we're going to do this, and we're going to be great together, and we're going to show that commitment, and we're going to do this as a team. And Chase Young is not about that. He's not about putting in that extra work. The best players in the world have the talent, plus they have the work ethic to go with it. And that's how they get to be the best players in the world.
Yeah. It's not
there
to say
are
that
a billion
Chase,
guys with his talent. There are a billion guys with his talent.
Not a billion.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are plenty of people out there.
There's hundreds of people with this talent.
Ability. But those who get to that next level are those who are working at it. Joey Bosa, the Bosa brothers, Joey Bosa went out there and said, OTAs are critical to the development of me as a player and us as a team. Joey Bosa's got his money. Cool. He's won an MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, and he's going to the Hall of Fame because he believes in doing everything it takes to be the best he can be. And Chase Young is just not about that. And he should be there, and it's a problem that he's not.
It's not.
And he will never, after this year, unless he goes out and has 40 sacks on his own and wins MVP, not just defensive MVP, but Player of the Year and everything, he'll never play for Washington again after this year, almost no matter what he does.
Ooh, that's a
yeah. He just won't. That relationship is over,
bro.
It's
new ownership is going to be here by the time. What if they see him like Chase Young and Ron Rivera's gone? Because apparently Ron Rivera and Chase Young aren't as tight as what they used to be first year. So
it's
if that happens,
that's fair. That brings in a whole different equation to it, and I get that, but I just don't see that the work ethic and the want to be great is there with Chase Young.
So what's Montez Sweat's story then? The
same thing, brother. Sorry.
What?
He wants to get paid too. He didn't get a big contract in the offseason. He wants to get paid, so he's home pouting as well.
Well, there you go.
Okay, now I gotta step in on that one.
The agent coming in and making a business decision for them to skip OTAs. It's voluntary.
Yeah,
this can all go away if they stop making it voluntary. I know all you're saying, Joey Bosa and this and that. I know, but not every single person is built like that or has that mindset, and they pay attention to the word voluntary. It's just what it is, bro.
That's an excuse. That's an excuse.
Trev, I understand where you're coming from. I agree.
No, it's not.
I agree with you, Trev, that it's voluntary and they don't have to. And
they don't have to.
And honestly, I think for most players, like we're not talking about the fact that Charles Leno's not there.
Mm-hmm.
He's fine. He's a vet in the game.
But when you're talking about players who are in contract seasons who've had some bad issues with the team, I just feel like it's important for them to be there. They don't have to be there. No argument.
That's right. They don't have to be there, but it's important. That's a great way of
saying it. It is. I think it's important for them to be there. The thing with this is there's, TJ's mentioning injury. We have Cam Curl out there who's also wanting to get paid. He's still got 1 year left on his rookie contract, but he wants to get paid. He showed up. He didn't participate in team drills. He did individual stuff. Now he's out there doing teamwork. And, that's showing me that he wants to stay here. He wants Washington to be the team that signs him. And he's showing them what he brings to the table. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, they're okay moving on and getting a different bag. As far as the injury thing's concerned, D'Angelo Hall, didn't he tear an Achilles in his kitchen? I mean, you can get injured anywhere. And so it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're doing athletic stuff or apparently being in your kitchen, you can experience some kind of energy. I'm just saying it is important for them to be there if they want to buy into this team mentality.
And it's not like I know a lot of people want to say, well, he's going to be there on game day when it counts. He's going to do Chase Young. Chase Young has done almost nothing in this league. He did have a good rookie year. He had 7.5 sacks.
He was defensive rookie of the year. Don't give me that.
Okay, but he had 7.5 sacks.
Okay, all right. It's more than about sacks.
Since then,
a great year. If you're defensive rookie of the year, you had a great year.
Yeah, how many INTs does Sauce Gardner have?
I don't know how many.
Probably less than 6, and he was defensive rookie of the year.
6 is a good number to have.
6 is a massive number to have.
Well, so it's 7.5 sacks for a rookie.
To Stoner's point, to answer Big Simple's question real quick, if Sean Taylor was taking time off, I think we'd all be okay with it because Sean Taylor was an otherworldly player. And this is where Stoner has an issue. Yeah.
He had already
Stoner has an
arrived.
issue because Chase Young has one great year, Stoner. One great year.
Okay. 3 seasons removed from that now.
3 years removed from
that. And he's done nothing.
Not looked great. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he's been hurt for a year and a half.
Okay. He had the 1 year he played in 10 games and had 1.5 sacks.
Yeah, Gus Bus, I agree. After 3 years, that shouldn't be your accolade, but to diminish that season by calling it just merely good is a problem. Okay. It was a great season. It is 3 years removed. He's had 2 not good seasons.
So that could be it.
Hey, you got to stop blaming Sam Mills now. Okay, he's been gone, and Chase and Montez weren't lighting the world on fire last year either when they did play. And Chase only played 3 games, and Montez didn't play a full season either. But it's not like they were out there lighting the world on fire. They have not arrived. If you are coming off of a major injury 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago now, that's even more reason that you need to be there and working on your craft and getting healthier and working with your teammates.
How do we know he's not doing that, getting healthier on his own?
I'm sure he's working out. Look at the man, okay? He works out. Yeah. That's not the problem. The problem is not whether or not he's in shape, but is he getting better as a football player? And can he get better as a football player on his own or with a whole bunch of other football players? That's where you get better, is in these little things, not in a gym lifting weights. Ask RG3, the weightlifting champion of the Washington Redskins when he was here. He had almost every record in that weight room. but couldn't do a daggum thing out on the field.
He was hurt.
Okay, and after he got healthy,
My
I'm just saying, Chase Young has not arrived and has not earned the right.
He's going to arrive this season.
voluntary
He's going to make you eat your words.
I hope he does arrive. I hope he does. One player who was also not there, which was a bit of surprise when Nikki J had tweeted this out. We found out why afterwards, is Kashmir Allen not there, hamstring injury. We heard Gibby is also, kind of banged up. This is really early for kind of injuries. Stoner, Trev. We'll go with Trev first, because here you go. What do you mean by that, Trev? What do you?
He's always ride the daggone bike, dog. Mm-hmm. He's always got something wrong with him, his lower extremities. And I don't think it's going to be a breakout year for Gibby this year at all. I think Ron is just putting that smoke out there because he's a fan favorite, and everybody's worried about Gibson's role in the offense. Because he said the same thing last year. We're going to get him more involved and do this and that, and he didn't do nothing. That's outstanding. So I think that Rodriguez kid is going to come for Gibby's spot. Same body build, a little bit stockier, but he can do the same thing as Gibby did. So, and the hamstring kid on the Allen kid, it's early. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but I'm glad it's happening now because it's this early in the season rather than,
Hamstring lingers, though. So that's, is this Malcolm Kelly again, where we're just going to see him always on the bike?
Let's not get too, again, our expectations for an undrafted wide receiver. We got to kind of tamper
I'm thinking of him more as a return man. I don't care about him lining up as a receiver. We need a good return man. That's what he was projected to be, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think he had a good chance to earn a roster spot and still does.
Yeah, for sure.
He still does. But again, let's not freak out that Kashmir Allen or Armani Rogers have these injuries or whatever. Yeah. It's not the end of the season when guys
Gibby,
like that.
Why are you on the bike already, Gibby? What you on the bike for?
Yeah, that's fair. That's
fair.
OTAs,
you're on a bike already.
That's fair when it comes to Gibby, who does have a history of injuries.
Well, let's shift over to the defensive side of the ball. Forbes is showing out right now, which is always good to hear. And then we have some news on the secondary. Rivera saying right now that they're trying Benjamin St. Juste and Forbes on the inside, not Kendall Fuller. And I believe I've been the one touting that Kendall Fuller should be staying outside here. So I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back. The Commanders, Matthew Parrish says, the Commanders like him solely as an outside corner. That's Kendall Fuller. What do you guys think about the makeup of this defensive backfield and Fuller staying on the outside and Forbes showing out? We'll start with you, Stoner.
I'm super excited about these two rookies. There's no doubt when you have a first and second rounder and they're getting a lot of attention already in OTAs to where guys like Terry McLaurin are talking about them and Eric Bieniemy is talking about them. And of course the head coach is making waves with them as well. I think that's a big deal. And so the defensive backfield is hopefully going to be the strength of this team. Again, you got to worry about injuries, especially with St. Juste, but these guys can play all over. Quan Martin can play anywhere, basically. He can play the nickel back. He can play the dime slot. He can play outside. He can play inside. He can do it all. And so let's hope that translates and that he's able to pick up this defense and help them. I'm excited about the new defensive backfield, assuming everyone stays healthy.
Lets me know that we're going to keep Kendall Fuller post June 1. So. There's a lot of maybe not rumblings, but we had opinions on this show and everywhere else that he could be a surprise cut post June 1, but seems like he ain't going anywhere. It's good to hear Forbes and Quan Martin being ball hawks flying all over the field. That's great. I'm not getting way too excited. I'm not getting Ashburn because they're going against the same people every day, no pads. Same looks every day, but it's still nice to hear. But I guess to piggyback from the offense, since we all picked the player, I'm going with Fladarian Mathis on this defensive squad. Coming off that knee injury, he's getting a lot of attention right now, showing a strong recovery from that. Looks great because they're going to need that, especially if our two edge rushers aren't going to be there. I guess we're going to have to get our rush from the interior, and John Allen and Deron Pay need a break. So That's really good to hear for Darian Mathis. But as long as that pass rush can get there, then that makes our DB core even stronger than what they're showing in camp. So I'm excited.
How's the pass rush going to get there if they don't even show up for voluntary OTAs?
Because they show up when it matters, bro.
Hey,
They'll show up at mandatory. They'll show up.
Okay,
mandatory.
they haven't yet, but let's just.
I'll be concerned for real if they don't show up to mandatory because that's
well,
they will. They will. They don't want to take the pay hit, especially as they might be unemployed next year. They'll both find a spot. But Kevin saying that Kevin likes the rookies inside versus Fuller or St. Juice. I agree. I'm okay if St. Juice moves inside more so than Fuller, but I like those two on the outside.
Question.
Gus Bus keeping Fuller allows us to stomach any BSJ injuries. And Gregory, thanks for chiming in today, Gregory. Gregory saying, how do you draft a CB for slot with the 16th pick? The thing is that 16th overall pick is still going to see probably upwards of 65% or more of your defensive snaps. And I think that's a fine thing to spit at 16th overall pick on.
Now, also, is it our DBs are actually ball hawks, or is it because our new defensive back coach is putting him in the positions to be ball hawks? Because I love Chris Harris, and I know he likes nice things. That was his saying. We never got INTs, but we're hearing a lot of DB talk coming out of OTAs more than what we've experienced in the past OTAs. Is that coaching or is it the players or both?
Or like I've asked this question every offseason. Or are you getting bad quarterback play?
True.
It's hard to decide.
It really is.
It does seem like that you're getting what you expect out of Sam Howell. You get some ups and you get some downs, especially this early.
Yeah.
But you are seeing what these DBs, especially Forbes, can do, and then being that ball hawk. So I think it is more. I don't think it's coaching as much as it is players.
This is why they were drafted. This is why they were drafted was that they have a nose for the ball. Now it's interesting, Stone, that you bring up the QB play in there. Sam Howell has kind of had some up and down. There's been some pretty electric moments that we heard about from last week. This week so far looks like a little bit of rockier start. But Trev, Sam Howell's your boy. You're a howler with me. What do you make of his OTA so far? Terry McLaurin saying good things. Of course, you're going to say good things about your teammate. Ron Rivera talked about his leadership today. I mean, these are all things that you want to hear about your young QB. But what do you make of some of this, maybe downside that we've been seeing as well?
Expected. He hasn't had this pressure this year like he didn't have last year. Now he's QB1. So that adds pressure since the Super Bowl ended, he's been labeled QB1. So it's kind of like his show now. It's expected. Second year in the league. He's going up against a new defense, different from last year, no matter who was in practice last year and this year. Last year. So I expected. I'm loving the spirals he's throwing. He's got a new helmet. Terry McLaurin, I feel like he's the kind of person who's going to give it to you straight, whether we're struggling or whether we're doing great. He's not going to blow smoke. So him saying that he's taking the bulls by the horns and leading us, that says a lot. Coming from Terry McLaurin. He gets the ball out fast. His footwork is getting better each week in OTAs, which I like to hear. So I'm excited. It's expected. Up and down. I wasn't expecting to come throw lights out because we did the same thing with Carson Wentz last year. Yeah. Stoner was keeping track. 7 touchdowns, no picks today. 8 touchdowns, no picks today. Like he was keeping track.
Yeah.
And look what
I'll do it again this year.
we got Ashburn with that. So he's doing exactly as long as he's beating out Jacoby Brissett, which sounds like he's doing. I'm fine. I'm cool with it. I'm cool.
Yeah, and I think the big thing about Sam Howell seemed to be from last year and how he progressed from the beginning of the year until the end of the year was his footwork.
Yeah.
That seemed to be the big thing. And he's getting a lot of praise, like you said, Trev, for his footwork. He has talked about how this offense is very wordy. And I think that might be a thing. But as long as he is committed to learning, studying, working with EB all the time, working with Terry and them, consistently going out there. Because it's a brand new offense to him. And he's got to learn all of the words and the nomenclature and everything. But from everything that we're hearing about that part of the game, is he is picking it up very well. Executing is a whole nother deal, but he is picking up those nuances of how the offense is supposed to be run. I think you talked about it early in the show about how they're getting out of the huddle quicker. So they're getting the play. He's getting the play relayed. They're getting up to the huddle so that he can make decisions at the line. And that will help, especially a young quarterback, because you've got until 13 seconds on the play clock to where the earphones or whatever are open. So he can get up to, if they can get up to the line, EB can still talk to him. He can still say something like, they're in a 2 deep or whatever, look for this. And then the headset goes out. So I think that's very underrated part of offense, is getting out of that huddle quick enough to where the offensive coordinator can still talk to you. Sean McVay does it all the time, still talking to his quarterback when he gets up to the line. That's a big deal.
They're miking up the quarterbacks in practice already too, just to hear if he can take command and if he needs any help with the wording. So it's
this is a big OTA for Sam Howell and Gus Bus. I'm pretty sure Trev would not be okay with Sam Howell skipping OTAs just because they're voluntary. This is a guy who needs to be there. And it looks like the team's given every opportunity for him to be the QB1, and they're going to take some lickings, I think, early on. You heard some pretty good things from Jacoby Brissett, throwing like a 40-yard seam pass to Cole Turner. Or no, John Bates, sorry, it was to Bates.
Hey. John Bates has apparently looked really good in camp so far.
Try to tell
converted offensive guard.
You want to make him a guard or a tackle?
So there's still some battles to be made, and we'll be talking more about OTAs. In fact, we have an opportunity to go next week, so some of your ref crew will be there, and we'll have some good stuff to talk about that next week. But we want to stay here with Sam Howell as we head into the cool down, as the number 3 has been opened up since Dantzler has been released. Should Sam Howell change off of his high school number 14? That's coming up here in the cool down. If I hit the right button, it'd be coming up here in the cool down.
The cool down is brought to you by Manscaped. Ever since my Nathan started using their products, I can't cool down. Fellas, trust me. Go to Manscaped right now and get 20% off and free shipping by using the code REF. Your ladies will appreciate you. Now back to Trev, Stoner, and my Manscaped man, Nathan.
All right, gentlemen, Father's Day's coming up. You're going to want to make sure that you stay clean and fresh. I've got a beard trimmer as well, and you can use the code REF, REF, to get yourself 20% off at manscaped.com. If it's not for you, give that out to your significant other, your partner, and make sure that they hook you up with something from Manscaped. Gentlemen, that little gaffe reminded me of something. We did not give Trev enough praise for holding down the show last week.
Absolutely.
In 122 shows, that was the first week in 122 weeks that Ref the District has been live, that Stoner and me have missed. And Trev did a fantastic job. Thanks, Trev, for holding down the fort. But yeah, 120, that's nearly like 2.5 years. Neither Stoner or I were on here, and Trev did a great job. So we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Hey, yeah.
Gus, for audio listeners, looks like Trev was the only one at OTAs last week.
It was not mandatory.
Absolutely. So there's been very light talk. I've seen it earlier in the year, and now that number 3 has opened up, there's some guys, Rio, friend of the channel, being one of them, that kind of want to champion Sam Howell moving off of the number 14. A lot of people think 14 is an ugly number for a QB. Brad Johnson says hi. Trev, what do you make of the jersey kind of discrepancy? Do you think Sam Howell should change off of 14?
Yeah, dog. 14 was last year, rookie year. I know it's your high school number, but hey, bro, you made it to the pros. Now it's time to unleash and create a new identity. 14 is an ugly number for a quarterback. Andy Dalton, I think, was 14 at one point.
Interesting.
Brad Johnson. Who else? I can't remember any other 14.
Super Bowl winning Brad Johnson.
Cool. I'll take switch number 3 or 7.
Ooh.
If possible.
Wasn't
7 would have to get permission, right? That's one of the. It's not. It's a
Heisman, right?
Yeah, it's not technically off limits, but it's one of those ones you have to get the blessing for. So
change it.
What about Fitzmagic? Wasn't he 14 when he was here?
Yeah, that was just.
He was 14 everywhere.
Well, there's good. I mean, there's been some good ones. I don't know about lately, but there have been some good ones. Guys like Dan Fouts. Maybe he might be the best number 14.
Oh my gosh!
You got to go back.
14.
You got to go back ways.
You got to go back ways.
Go to 3.
It was weird because I was mostly off of social media the last couple weeks, and then Nathan talked about, hey, one of the things we should talk about on the show is this possibility or this talk about Sam Howell changing his number, and I was like, what? Who freaking cares what his number is? Sam Howell didn't start this conversation. Nope. It was just people, as Nathan said, championing this movement for him to change his number because they don't like it. And I'm like,
yeah, which they have been since the end of the season, knowing that he was going to be QB1. They want him to have a QB1 number.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, I mean, there's some good QBs out there right now with numbers that are in the teens. Patrick Mahomes, number 15.
Yeah.
Your man, Josh Allen, 17, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers was like 12 for so long. I don't understand, Tom Brady, like these are guys who people are okay with those numbers. Yeah. And I think if Sam Howell balls out in 14, people are going to love 14. They're going to start associating 14 with Sam Howell if he balls out. And I agree, Stoner. I think it's a very silly thing to talk about, but it is kind of the off season, and there's silly things to talk about in the off season. This being one of the
numbers, Sam.
I say keep the number. But I'm biased. Okay, 14's my number. I have some biasy here. But if whatever he wears, I'm with quite a few people here in the chat who. How does it not look right? It looks like maybe it's because I'm older and I need some more of that Caldera Lab here. But I'm used to QBs being in the teens and the double digits.
Absolutely. What about Bernie Kosar? He was 22.
We're really going.
Oh, he was 19.
Yeah, he's 19.
Yeah, he was like 19. I don't have any problem. So, Trev, what is it about you want him to change to any single digit number?
Yeah, I don't like the 14. I think 14 is just a weird jersey number in general.
Big simple wants to give number 0. That's now an available number for that. Doug's saying, why not make 14 a thing, though?
Yeah.
Can Gus Bus agreeing Sam can make 14 great and uniquely his for a generation. Kids are going to want to wear 15 because of Patrick Mahomes. People are going to want to wear 17.
But he was 15 his whole career in college too. But Sam was number 7 and he was 14 in high school.
So, okay, name me another great number 15 quarterback.
Tim Tebow.
Great quarterback. I love Tebow with all my heart.
I said Tim Tebow.
He ain't it. I've got a
Doug
Tebow
Williams was 17. That's a good
jersey.
one there.
Strebler, the guy from the Jets.
Who
came in last year?
Yeah, but I'm talking about a great number 15, though.
Quarterback?
But now Patrick Mahomes has made it a great number.
But that was his number all the way from the beginning of time. So
is that why? But
14's not.
So why would Sam Howell go to 3? That hasn't been his number the whole time.
Because he was single digit in Carolina. Maybe he went to single digit this year, but they gave him
14's his high school number at least.
Yeah, I know, but this ain't the high school. They say,
Curtis ain't college either.
Well, Curtis Samuel went back to college.
Yeah.
That's when he balled out. So
would you be okay with him going to 7?
Yeah, dog. Okay, I know it's Theismann, but and rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins, but he had it too. So it has nothing to do with him as a person, but as a player, he didn't really live up to number 7 anyway. When you know, so at this point, just let somebody rock number 7. or retire it. Stop making people ask Joe Theismann to use it when.
Well, I think because of what happened with the Haskins and Theismann,
you should probably never do it anymore.
You shouldn't at least, give it some time to.
Yeah, unless that's like the number 1 overall pick, I think you should just.
That was his number in college. That's why I was saying he could do 7.
You just leave it alone.
All right, we'll go to 13 or 15.
What's wrong with 14?
It just looks weird. Like it just looks like an ugly jersey number.
Have you not? I'm telling you, I'm watching these OTA videos the Commanders putting out, and he looks good throwing the ball in 14. That ball's coming out with some zip. That ball is
ugly doing it. The helmet's ugly. The number's ugly.
Why is the helmet ugly all of a sudden?
It's one of those. It's one of those fancy new helmets.
Fancy change this helmet. They even made a post new helmet alert. I'm like, what are we doing?
Mandalorian, you're absolutely right. The number really doesn't matter as long as he's putting up 7s on the scoreboard every quarter. How about this Mandalorian? He puts up 14 every quarter. Let's see that.
Yeah.
Or
what about
each half
0?
At least.
What about 0?
That would be cool. Number 0 quarterback. That would be cool.
If that's the only number that I would be okay with him changing to, would be 0.
Cool.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
But just to switch
look at it in the picture.
I don't know. I don't.
If you don't know who Sam Howell is, you're like, oh, he's a practice squad QB or he's getting cut after camp. Just because of his number.
Well,
when I watch him play, I think the same thing.
Stop it.
Okay, that was just a cheap shot. I didn't really mean it.
Well, that's true. I don't know.
12, by the way, is the number
right?
with the most Super Bowl wins, largely because Tom Brady
and Brissett has that number.
Somebody said Yam says 18.
He corrected himself.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
Yeah, but yeah. 18. How about that? 18's Peyton Manning. I mean, I think the number thing is overblown. Yes, I'm biased because 14's my number. So that's actually why I thought Ryan Fitzpatrick was gonna be great for us because he was wearing my number. I was just like, sweet. There we go. Now we got another guy wearing my number, and I am absolutely a howler here. So make sure I was hitting the right button. Don't another crickets situation here.
Yeah. And by the way, we haven't mentioned this in a while. I just wanted to remind everybody who's watching, hit that like button for us. It would be much appreciated if you hit that like. And
thank you, Greg.
I swear I didn't see that.
Yeah, Gregory hit that for us.
Yeah.
Wow,
I did that right before you brought it up there. Yes, Terrell, we know this conversation's ridiculous. There's a lot of good conversation we had in the game with the EB effect. And now we have our first super chat donation for this one, Starface here, asking us Sam Howell over under 25 total touchdowns. And this is how you can get us off of the numbers game and onto a different numbers game. Trev's going with over 25 total touchdowns. Now, Trev, you also have us winning 12 football games.
I do.
Stoner does not have us winning. In fact, he actually had us, I think, at 1-5, and Jacoby Brissett's coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be hard to throw 25 touchdowns when you only play 4 games.
So where are you at with this one?
No, in all seriousness, I think it's probably an under. 25 touchdowns is
total.
Oh, total with running as well?
Yeah,
that's why I say over, bro.
Because I think he'll probably get 3 rushing touchdowns this year if he plays the whole year. So that would be 22-ish. I mean, that's a good number. That's a good number to debate. So I'm still going to go with under because I just don't see him playing 17 games. Not necessarily for effectiveness.
Oh, here we go.
There's injuries that play into this as well. Most quarterbacks don't play 17 games nowadays, so
it's hard.
It's hard to do. It's going to be a tough number for a rookie quarterback to get to.
He's gonna. Okay, hold on.
It's surprising to me. Gregory is taking the under. Gregory is one of our howlers. In fact, Gus Bus is howling as well. Going to hit that there because I told you guys, you put the Wolves in there as long as you don't abuse it. I'll hit the button. Gregory saying 16 passing, 3 to 4 rushing. That's pretty low. I mean, this is a team that again was abysmal last year. we're 17 points a game. We're talking about them getting at least league average to 23 points a game. Are we saying that's not coming from Sam Howell? Where's that coming from? Is this all B-Rob and Gibson and Chris Rodriguez?
I mean, that's the obvious answer. The other obvious answer is from Jacoby Brissett. He's going to have the rest of those because
stop it.
Look, what do you want to put the number of games that Jacoby Brissett plays this year?
0. So last year, Justin Fields threw for 17 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And ran for 7.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to take the
Fields,
under. Yeah, I'm going to take
less than
But
that.
you also saw Sam Howell. He's a runner too.
Sure.
He is. He did one on the ground the last game of the season last year with one.
Currently does average 2 touchdowns a game, guys.
Yeah.
So,
he's on pace for 34, right?
If he gets 20 passing and 6 on the ground, that's doable for Sam Howell.
I agree. That's doable.
That's very doable.
Yeah,
I agree. It's doable. So I'm saying over. That's 26. 19-7, 18.
Let's expand this a little bit here. And what do you think his entire stat line is going to look like?
Let's assume
right? Stoner. Let's assume he plays all 17 games.
Okay, so he's playing all 17 games. I mean, I would go with about 3,500 yards, and I would go.
Thank you.
Gee, you all right, Trev?
Yeah.
I would go with 24 passing touchdowns and probably 4 rushing touchdowns.
I'm going
if he plays all 17 games.
3,100 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 on the ground, and probably 12 interceptions.
Yeah, I didn't say interceptions either. And
yeah, so what are you going to put us on?
High, but
what are you going to put us on interceptions then? Only 8, Trev. If he throws 8 interceptions on the year, I am a very, very happy man. That's
as little as Carson played, he had more touchdowns and interceptions last year too. And when we signed him, he was 27-7. That was Carson Wentz, I know, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is how this is basically a rookie and a new offense. He's going to have his growing pains early. So I would put him in double-digit interceptions. I would probably have him in the 10 to 12 range.
Yeah, I think we're looking at probably 24 total touchdowns, like 3,500 yards sounds about right passing. Probably just a couple hundred on the ground as well.
Yeah,
and then interception-wise, I think we're looking at hopefully just the low teens. If he's anywhere in the mid to high teens, then we're in trouble because he's only if he only throwing 24. Jay, that's big. Hal being a top 13 QB,
Super Bowl.
The here's an interesting scenario, guys. I'm going to give you. Okay, this is. We'll say these. Obviously he has the Dallas game. This is his first full season. What if he throws for 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, but the team goes 7-10?
Okay,
that's fine.
What's the question?
What do you do with Sam Howell going into 2024? If that's the season, 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but the team goes 7-10.
You fire Jack Del Rio and start your defense over again.
Well, you probably clean house with
7-10 new ownership team.
7-10 is cleaning house.
Oh yeah,
for sure. We have to get rid of this notion that no matter what happens, Eric Bieniemy is sticking around. That ain't happening, my friend. If they're cleaning house, they're cleaning house. They're not going to fire everybody except Eric Bieniemy. That's not going to happen. But if he has that kind of year, if he has 4,000 yards and 20-some touchdowns and only 7 picks, oh, yeah, that's a franchise quarter. That's something you build around.
Really?
That is absolutely somebody that you build. You haven't seen anything like that since Kirk Cousins was here.
Oh, yeah. Around here, sure.
Yeah, you haven't seen it.
That's because this is a comp from somebody else, and I'll let you guys know who it is in a little bit.
Okay. I'd take that big time. That's something you can build around.
It's Trev. Is that something you feel you can build around? 4,000 yards, the 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That's something that is a legitimate NFL starter to you.
Hell yeah, and it just sucks that we'd have to clean house because 4,000 yards. He ain't doing that by himself on offense. So you got to keep a lot of pieces in place on offense. I think you clean house on defensive side of the ball if we want for 7-10 because there's no way we're not scoring points. Well, there actually is a way. 4,000 yards. Actually, maybe not.
4,027 touchdowns.
That's a lot of continuity you got to get rid of just because of new ownership. Like, then what happens next year? You clean house and he goes for 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions, and we're I don't know.
It's funny you should mention that because
we're 10-7. Then what do you do?
You guys are telling me that this is a franchise quarterback. That is the stat line of Gardner Minshew.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
when?
Those were his first 17 games
in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
absolutely. And they were ready to build the team around him
until Urban Meyer came down.
No. So that's split over 2 seasons because he came in midway through one season, and he did reasonably well.
Yeah.
He did reasonably well, and then Jacksonville went 0-7 in his first 7 starts in that second season of his. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter they saw enough to say, okay, he's not the QB. They went out and got Trevor Lawrence, and that's why I think it's an interesting comp here for Washington, because this is if he does that, but again they go 7-10. Did he show the team enough, or are they going to go after one of the QBs in the draft next season? And I have to think at 7-10 they're cleaning house, and if EB doesn't stick around, or even if EB does, EB is going to be the one to tell you he's the guy or he's not the guy.
True.
And you're going to go. And so that to me is the Gardner Minshew comp is the one that's interesting because a lot of people bought into the mania, and he has good stats, and people still wanted him as a starting QB for their team. And he chose to be a backup elsewhere. Right. And he's still a backup. He'll likely be a backup this year in Indianapolis is where I think he is now. He was with the Eagles last year, but this is where a 5th round rookie can be successful, but still maybe not. So I think that one's just an interesting comp, but Caleb had a different one here.
All right.
No comparing, but I think he gets Daniel Jones stats. I think the ball is going to be run a lot. This is a team that likes to run. Daniel Jones, by the way, last year, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 3,200 yards in the air, 67% completion, though. That's
how many rushing touchdowns?
And rushing is
double digits.
Passing, rushing. He had last year 700 yards rushing with 7 touchdowns. So 22 total touchdowns.
Right. And what happened? They're building the team around him. And that was a team that was Saquon Barkley's team last year. And 2 years before that. Saquon Barkley is what makes that team go. And it was last year, Trev. Look at his numbers last year. He had massive numbers last year.
And they chose to pay Daniel Jones instead. So what's that tell you about how Saquon Barkley?
That's because of the positional
value. Yeah,
but I think
that's 15-5.
I think that's a good. I think that's a good comparison in that Washington against Arizona in Week 1. Sam Howell's not going to go out there and throw the ball 42 times. He's not. They are going to run the ball quite a bit because the same way they did against Dallas. They don't want to expose this rookie quarterback going out there in game 1 at home with
too late. We ain't got time.
It's going to be crazy.
We ain't got time
to expose him to that.
We ain't got time to play conservative.
You can say that, Trev, but they're not going to go out there and have him throw the ball 40 times. They're not.
It's EB.
Unless they're down huge.
It's EB.
Not. Yeah,
a former running back coach, someone who's excited, who's one offensive player that he pitched for in the draft was a running back.
Mahomes throw the ball per game, at least 30, 35.
Patrick Mahomes is different. Now, Patrick Mahomes his sophomore season, he threw for 50 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
different
Stoner would have to go to TJ Maxx
I'm not
and
saying
buy a
he'll
whole
throw-
new wardrobe if
He's not going
Sam
to throw
Howell
50 touchdowns. but
throws
he's-
50
it's
touchdowns.
Definitely possible he'll throw 30 to 35 times a game with EBS.
You want to put a dollar on that?
Yes. You know how
He-
many
Average?
short
might-
screen passes?
He might at some point, but they're not going into week 1 and
Yes,
having him throwing the ball 40
It's
times.
Arizona, bro. They're going to show reasons why he's QB1 and all
They're
this
not gonna do
offseason talk, and he can air it out. It's going to happen, bro.
They're not going to do that.
They're airing it
They
out.
don't have
We're
the
making a
kinda-
statement week
Trev,
1.
let's get this dollar bet.
Get it down.
Okay.
Right
Well, I want to clarify here from you.
Yes.
Is this how many passes in week 1, or is this on average through the season? What do you want to go with?
I'm going to go with week 1 since Stoner said against the Cardinals we're not going to do that. So I'll go with week 1. He's throwing the ball at least 32 times.
Well, you're lowering the bar.
I
He
said
did
30
lower
to
the
I
bar.
35.
said 40.
40?
I said he's not throwing it 40 times.
No, he's not
I'll
throwing
even
it
give
40,
you
but
35.
30.
He's not throwing it 30.
I'll take that dollar. He'll do 35.
All right. He's not throwing the ball 30.
35
I mean,
times week 1. I don't
It
think
could
so.
totally get out of hand and they're
It could
down
be-
by 14 and they have to throw it that 30 times.
You never know.
But that's not going to be the game plan.
You don't know that.
Yeah. I know the game plan.
What if they stop our run for some reason when they shouldn't, but they do? We can't get it going. Then what's going to happen? You gotta
Then
throw the ball.
EB probably wasn't the right person for the job.
No, it's just Gibby's not the right running back is the problem. That's a
B
whole-
Rob and you have Chris Rodriguez. Don't I'm
B
just-
Rob moved the pile every time he got touched. What did Gibby do? Dance, sit down. Dance, sit down.
He moved the pile so much he averaged 3.9 yards per carry.
Who did?
B Rob.
Then he averaged, so he moved the pile so much he took Gibby's starting job. Okay, 3.9, 3.9. He took Gibby's job after being shot in the leg twice.
Roger Smith in the house with a new name, by the way. The shiny ones is Roger Smith. He says, new name, same pessimist. Love it. Thanks for joining us here, Roger. We're talking Sam Howell right now here in the cool down. And I'm going to say he does not throw 35 in week 1. Average on the season. It's funny you mentioned Patrick Mahomes. Of course, that's where he's come from. Different animal entirely here.
Yeah.
Through 648 times over the course of 17 games, which if my math here is right, that was 38 times a game that Patrick
Just
Mahomes
saying.
was
And I'm just
launching the ball.
saying.
All right.
They
Now
didn't have a sweet running game because we don't have a sweet running game either. I mean, we have B. Rob and Gibby. It's not like they're out here breaking records and making Pro Bowls.
All right.
Let's
So
be honest.
now give me an average running game team and their quarterback.
EB? No, do EB last year because he's our offensive coordinator. How many times they run the ball last year?
No, I'm talking about I want the
Average?
quarterback. How many times did the quarterback average throwing the ball on a decent running team or an average running team?
Would you go with Hurts? That was a team.
No, because he's a running quarterback. That's
skews the numbers too much for you.
Yeah,
Green Bay. Green Bay had the running backs, AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see how many
Aaron
times
we're comparing.
Aaron Rodgers.
This is my life right now, folks. We are comparing Sam Howell to Aaron Rodgers.
Thank you, Mandalorian. Appreciate you, bro.
So we have another super chat. I got to hit that button. Thanks to Mandalorian. Well, keep it up there. If you pay for the super chat, we keep it up there, and we'll talk about your topic if it has one. And yeah, Trev, absolutely a go for hosting last week. So we gave him some flowers earlier. And now Trev is telling me Aaron Rodgers type numbers, 542 times over the course of
Did he play
17 games.
Oh, that's way down, Trev. That's going to be like 33 or something like that.
31.8.
32 times a game.
Running attempts?
Aaron Rodgers.
No, that's passing attempts.
Oh, okay.
About 32 times.
But
yeah.
Trev
Trev's speechless.
I'm riding with my dollar,
dog.
dog. I'm riding with my dollar.
Yeah, I'm going to go under for Arizona Cardinals. I'm interested in how it's going to play out through the season. This could be just one of those ones where if he turns out to be, the guy, right, and he's balling out, that he starts to get more attempts. But I do agree with you, Stoner. at this point, I think they're going to do their best to protect him, and then we'll see. But I mean, you never know.
We got time to be cautious, you guys. We ain't got time.
We're past the first game for Sam Howell, but this is the first game with EB at the helm. Patrick Mahomes, by the way, 35 attempts in his first game. So just wanted to point that out there. I don't know if the 2017 EB was there.
We're playing against a Kyler Murray-less, J.J. Watt-less, DeAndre Hopkins-less Arizona Cardinal team, and y'all sitting there saying we're going to come out, play conservative and save Sam Howell. No, we should come out and blow them out the water and make a statement, bro.
We're going to dominate. We're going to dominate, Trev, which is exactly why he's not going to throw 35. You're not going to need to. You're going to be in the fourth quarter up by 2 touchdowns, and you're handing the ball off to Chris Rodriguez and Brian Robinson because you're eating up the clock.
32 times, bro.
You said 35.
Remember
on 35.
All right, 35. Screen passes
35,
count too,
35 for Arizona.
Pitches count too, you know that. That's a pass now. The little coming across and then do that. That's a pass now. Just letting you know. Short slants, bombs, out. I'm telling you, 35 attempts, dog.
All right. Well, we'll see here. Stoner, you were looking up something.
Yeah, I was just trying to see if they had the number of pass attempts. All right, here we go. Pass attempts per game.
For who?
In 2022.
League average?
I don't know if it has a league average, but Tampa Bay was number 1. They averaged throwing the ball 45 times a game. Good Lord. But right at number 10 is 35 times a game. That was Indianapolis. So that's the 10th most.
I was about to say 16th. Who's 16th?
16th is 33.6.
Where are we at on that list?
Denver and Pittsburgh. Washington was 20th, 32.6 per game.
All right. Fair enough, Trev. Fair enough.
Pay me my money.
We still have to get through week 1, and this might be the game where he only throws 25, and then another game he's throwing for 45, and then it'll equal out there.
Washington, I'm always very cautious, and I'm going to throw it out there right now. Washington is going to absolutely smoke Arizona in week 1.
Big time.
I think that's what Arizona wants, by the way.
Yeah, I think they do too.
Arizona is on the fast track to one of the top 2 picks.
If we lose to Colt McCoy week 1, I'm done for the season.
I know. We'll have to basically
Trev's throwing in the flag already. Week 1's going to be so hype. Are you kidding me? We got Sam Howell, young QB, EB, new ownership. It is going to be
Hard Knocks
money.
Hard Knocks,
maybe.
RefTheDistrict got their own segment on NBC Sports Washington. It's going to be crazy.
That would be something. We do appreciate everybody jumping in the chat. Of course, we stream live here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter every Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern. And we have a lot of fun. Stoner story time went long today, but it was a pretty epic one. We talked about those roster moves, the EB effect, and OTAs there in the game, and then a little bit of jersey talk before getting into the Sam Howell numbers game, which was a lot of fun with these gents. We will be at OTAs the 6th, which was that Tuesday. So if you're going to be there, check us out. We'll have some content. We'll be talking about that on the show next Wednesday for 124. But until next time,
always go rock. Always
be a fan.